And we are now ready for Angela's run of Atelier Ryza 3, Alchemist of the End and the Secret Key. Angela, let's mix it up.
Hey, thanks for that French toast. My name is Angela, or Lily Desu is what I go by on Twitch. I'll be running Atelier Ryza 3 for us today on Charismatic difficulty, the 5th hardest difficulty of the game. There is an incentive ongoing for the hardest difficulty of the game. I can switch it at any point. We'll cut that off about an hour into the run, so make sure you get your donations in. And PX,
Hi, I'm PXMacaiah. I also speedrun the Atelier series, and I'm here to help commentate for this run.
Yeah, thank you, PX. Let's get started then. I hope we have a good run. It's
good luck.
Going to be difficult to commentate. This run is very front heavy with mechanics, but I'll do my best to explain everything from the start. So let's go ahead in 3, 2, 1, start. All right, so we're just going to start off with the tutorial battle. The game throws you into a battle right away.
Yeah.
One thing that's kind of nice about tutorials in this game is that you can actually, it kind of puts you on rails for a bit. It tells you to do things, but you can just hold down a button to skip all of it.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing that instead of doing what the tutorial wants us to do.
So
now that we're through like the actual tutorial text, we just have to do the actual battle. We're going to be starting off with right away with a glitch during this that was in the previous game and they never fixed it, called the skill loop glitch. Basically what that entails is that normally when you use a character's skills, you can only use them one time per turn, but if you switch off the character right after using a skill, they will just keep spamming the same skills over and over again until you run out of action points, which is very convenient. It greatly increases your DPS on this beginning battle, so
that's pretty neat to know.
We'll just get through that.
So
we'll just get through that really quickly.
If you played an Atelier game before the Ryza series, one of the biggest changes they made for this trilogy is that real-time combat is now a thing. As it turned to turn-based combat.
Yeah. So Atelier was turn-based for over 20 years, and then Ryza came out and they decided to try something new. They'll probably go back to turn-based after this series, but it was a pretty fun experiment.
Yeah, so this is Atelier...
I quite enjoy the Ryza combat.
Yeah, this is Atelier Ryza 3, the 24th game in the mainline Atelier series. This is the third game of the Secret Trilogy. So this is essentially going to be the end of the trilogy, unless they decide to come back and do a quadrilogy again for some reason.
Yeah. And so right now, I'm basically in the gathering tutorial of the game. The game has a loop of gather materials, synthesize items, and go fight enemies with those items. The crafting system, the synthesis system, is pretty deep. We'll be abusing it a lot to become very powerful, and I just need a lot of materials from here to do that. One thing that's very nice about this game is that material gathering is basically instant. It's really fast, as opposed to previous games in the series where you would have to be a lot more careful about what you gather. In this game, you can just gather a lot because it takes no time.
Yeah, they have about 26 years of experience on this, so it's improved quite a bit.
Yeah, they're ramping up the speed and quality of life as the series goes on, which is nice. All right, here we have a synthesis tutorial. This is basically what the crafting screen looks like. It definitely doesn't look like a crafting screen you're probably used to from RPGs. Every item has its own tree that you place materials into. And so right off the bat, I'm going to be crafting a couple items. They're gathering tools, an axe and a hammer. Basically, I'll be using these to gather different types of materials to make even better items later.
Ryza doing a cute little dance.
And I already got very unlucky.
Ah.
I did not. And we don't have fast travel unlocked at this point, so I have to go back and craft my hammer later.
Don't forget to change
that. That is fine. Oh, right. Are we on Sophie 2?
We should be on Sophie 2.
All right, I'll change it next time I go back to the Atelier.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened there is, even though I gathered a lot of materials at the start, I did not have enough good materials for my hammer, which will lose me about 30 seconds to a minute because I have to go back and craft it later. It's yeah, it's no big deal, but very rarely happens. Probably happens in like 5% of runs, so, just marathon things.
Oh, another thing Ryza added is cutscene skipping, which has only been in like one game out of the entire series before this.
Right. Cutscene skipping is very nice. It makes these games a lot shorter. One interesting thing about the cutscene skipping in this game is there's a couple different... So there's full cutscene skips, and there's also a text fast forward option that you can use if you just want to go through the text fast for some reason instead of skipping the whole cutscene. What's actually kind of funny is before every cutscene skip, you need to enable that text fast forward option, and it saves like a few seconds over the course of the run.
Yeah.
A few minutes, sorry.
One of the things about running this
minutes.
series is that how to go through text fast changes every single game, so you have to remember which one you need to do. Sometimes it's turning on text skipping and not pressing anything. Sometimes it's turning on text skipping and mashing on top of that. Sometimes it's just mashing.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to go through text in the series. It's what happens when your series is, 25 games long.
And constantly evolving throughout the 25 years.
Yep. All right, I've been getting a little bit unlucky on these materials, but should be fine.
But yeah, this is a typical early game.
Atelier.
This is a typical early game of any Atelier series, just crafting materials and then synthesizing things. So yeah.
Should be this one.
There we go.
The loading screens for the costumes are kind of long. All right, let me go back up that material I was missing earlier. This is a little bit annoying, but that's okay. And back to making my hammer that I so tragically was not able to create earlier, but it should be fine now.
Yeah, one of the things this game took from the Mysterious trilogy is that you have different items to gather different items from different things on the map. So the hammer here is going to be used for crushing rocks and so to get ore from them as such.
Actually, the best part about the hammer is we're using it to knock fruit from trees. Ryza is a very strong girl. This tree is just going to fall over.
All right, so can you just explain the basic plot of the game so far? Like, why are we on this island? What are we doing? Why is she an alchemist?
Why is she an alchemist? Oh gosh, that goes back a while, doesn't it? So yeah. Ryza... Oh no, I wasn't expecting to have to do plot explanations.
Okay, it's the third game of the trilogy, so I guess you skip a couple of things.
It's more just like the beginning of the section of the game is so like mechanically intense. It's very like dense.
Yeah.
But when I'm gathering, I should be able to think of something. So I just made an upgrade to my axe, which will let me gather more items at a time. And I'll be gathering here 56 mushrooms, which you basically need for our early game grind. So having a better axe to gather more at a time is very important. I'll just be counting these. We're at 6, 10, 14, 19. And it's very important I know how many I'm at. I can't lose my train of thought.
So general history of the series itself, it's actually gone through quite a bit of changes throughout the years. But they're generally broken up into trilogies and some duologies, and recently some quadrilogies because they decided to go back into series, which has never been done before. But this would be the 9th trilogy, I want to say, in the series. The 9th or so series. We got Salzburg, Grandma, Iris, Manacamia, Arland, Dusk, Mysterious, Secret. Oh, this is... Wait, maybe I see one in there? Oh yeah, this would be the 8th series in this series.
Yeah, the 8th. All right, so we're at 49 mushrooms. Usually I would only need to do 2 trips of these, but I rolled a little bit. That's fine. So coming up right after these, we are going to have a very long and involved crafting section, which basically what I'll be doing during that is breaking the game during the tutorial. because we are still in the tutorial section of the game.
Yeah.
And one thing that's really crazy about this game, or really wild, is you can just sort of... So there's a skill tree that basically improves Ryza's alchemy prowess. You can unlock a lot of like crafting bonuses and a lot of items that she can make. And the entire skill tree is unlocked right from the start of the game. You just need to be able to get the skill points to actually like unlock those skills, but you're not gated or anything. So what I'll be doing is a lot of synthesis to basically cheese the skill points right at the start of the game, which means we'll have very powerful stuff even during the tutorial. That'll take about 10 to 15 minutes, and that's basically everything I'm doing right now. So the way you get skill points in this game is by synthesizing. You can see at the bottom right, every time I make something, the skill points go up. I'm gonna need about 20,000 skill points total, which obviously right now we're only getting like 20% per synthesis per craft, sometimes higher depending on the item I make, but right now they go up pretty slowly. That'll be ramping up pretty quickly. The main item we're going to be making for skill points first is the super pure water right here, and that's why I gathered all the mushrooms. You can see it just gave me almost 200 right there, and you do get a bonus for the first time you make something, but it'll still give like a respectable 80 per craft after that. So I will be spamming this item up to about... I need about 4,400 SP from this one. And once I get to that point, I'll be able to unlock a more efficient method, and it'll go by very quickly. But for now, we're doing this. And it's actually okay to do this at the beginning of the game, because there's not actually more efficient methods later. So it's better to do the grind now and get really powerful early, because it just saves time in the long run. Especially on high difficulties where the early battles are actually really deadly. On Charismatic, you have to craft some pretty good items to even get past the first battle coming up after this. So
okay, yeah. So
we'll be crafting items good enough to destroy them.
What's the main difference between Charismatic and like say normal mode and legendary mode?
Right. So yeah, normal mode would be the baseline of the game, and Charismatic enemies have 3 times the HP over normal, which makes them quite tanky. And if you don't have any gear, they will more or less like go really fast and one-shot you for the most part. We will have good gear for a while, but even with the gear we'll be making, by the time we get to like the final boss and stuff, we'll be getting one-shot consistently, even on Charismatic. Thankfully, we can do a good enough glass cannon build that doesn't matter too much. And Legendary has another like 70% HP over Charismatic.
Yeah, so if you want to see Angela here tackle that, donate towards Legendary difficulty. Because we can change difficulty anytime.
Yep. So what I just did with my skill points on the skill tree is I unlocked 500 quality. So items have quality in these games. In Ryza 3, at the start, the amount of quality you can get on an item is actually limited to 100. And so through the skill tree, I can increase that, and now I can raise my qualities up to 500. Quality basically affects the potency of an item. So, for example, if I have a bomb at 900 quality, or 999 quality, which is the max, it will do about 5 times more damage than a bomb at 100 quality. So it's a very time-efficient way of getting damage.
Yeah, that's a recurring theme with these speedruns of this game, is that generally you just make a very good bomb. And it will take care of most problems.
And so I just did a loop to get my neutralizer up to about 500 quality, and I'll be using that as the basis for most of my other crafts throughout this section. So you can see that, for example, using this very high quality neutralizer, this item is already at 200 starting. One thing that's kind of important here is the super pure water I created earlier has an effect on it called synthesis quantity +1. That means every time I add it into a synthesis, I get one more of that item as the final product. So normally you would get 3 Zetals, but because I'm using 4 of those waters, I get 7 at a time. And now I'm using those to make these orbs. Zetals also have synth quantity +1, so I will be getting 7 of these at a time. And it just makes getting a mass amount of these items much, much quicker.
Yeah, so
which is very important to the run.
So as you see when she's crafting, every one of these things has a little node down at the bottom that has an attribute. Every item you use to synthesis has its own attributes along with it, and if you match and fill up those, you get bonus effects. So you do want to match as much as possible for the bonuses.
Yeah. All right, so now we'll be making this super pure water for a few minutes. I'll be making it like, I don't know, 30-ish times, just to get up to 1,700 skill points. Once I hit 2,700 skill points. So yeah, it's a lot of boring mashing, but once we're there, we will be able to unlock a much more efficient skill point grinding method, and I'll be able to get up to about 15,000 in a couple minutes, as opposed to 2,000 in a few minutes. So
sounds like it'd be a good time for donation.
Kind of snowballs like that.
Yeah, it sounds like a good time for donation.
I'll just be doing this for a couple minutes.
Oh, you read my mind. Yes, and I do want to also echo that that legendary difficulty is a running incentive. So when that's met, we will instantly switch over to legendary difficulty. So you can still get those donations in. Change it to that at any time. We have $25 from Swole Rad Guy. I haven't played Ryza 3, just started the second, so I'm donating and dipping. It's alchemy time. Go fast. Equivalent exchange be darned.
We are definitely getting out more than we put in here.
Excellent. We have $25 from The Burning Hunter. Despite owning several of the Atelier games, I've still yet to play any of them. So, as thanks for showing me what I've been leaving in my backlog, here's $25 towards the legendary difficulty. Good luck. And we have $25 from our artist, one of our artists, LLK. Good luck on the Atelier Ryza 3 run. This donation goes towards the Super Boss battle in Octopath Traveler 2, because for 4 nightmarish weeks I tormented French Toast with dozens and dozens of failed attempts at destroying Galdera. Can confirm. That's not... that's me saying that. Every night I would load up the game and say, okay, buddy, I can feel it. This is the run. And every night I would get absolutely vaporized. I eventually beat it, but now I need to see the true pro strats. Let's get all of these incentives met.
Shoutouts to LLK for helping design our badges in this marathon. We don't have a webcam here, but they're pretty well done.
All right. We finally have our SP. Now I can go to the skill tree and I can unlock item rebuild. And this is what we've kind of been grinding for the start of the game. Item rebuild is very, very, very powerful. Before I can sort of show off what it does, first we have a little tutorial. This will tell me how to use Link Morph, which is another thing we unlocked mostly incidentally because it's right before it on the skill tree, but we'll also use this later. Just got to get through this real quick. So what is item rebuild? Item rebuild basically lets you take an item you've made before and add even more ingredients to it. That is useful for a couple things. It's mainly useful for filling out the rest of the crafting tree so that you can make your items like even better and more broken. But the other thing it's useful for is it's actually our best skill point grinding method. So we will be taking advantage of that right now. One thing it does need is gems. You can get gems by taking your items and basically deleting them, turning them into gems. So all that water goes into gems, and now I can start rebuilding my items. So I just want to
Oh my god.
throw materials into them up to the max level, and that'll get me way more SP than I was getting before. You can see that for each of these items, I'm getting about 150 every time I do this, and it's like faster than making an item would be normally, and that just ramps up even further as I improve my item rebuild capabilities.
So yeah, this mechanic here is why Ryza has probably the most broken synthesis crafting system in all of the Atelier series.
Right, because normally once you make an item, it's done. You can't edit it or anything, but with item rebuild, you can just continue improving your items. And now I've improved my rebuild. You can see that the skill points for each item are already ramping up. I'm getting about 300 per.
And also historically, water is probably the most broken thing you can make in the Atelier games because you can use water to make water. So
Yep.
you gotta get better water or more water, which I guess in this case you get both.
All right, and now I just need to get a little bit more. Once I'm at 1,000, I can go unlock duplication on the skill tree, which is just as good as it sounds. It means I can take any item I've made before and pay gems to make copies of it, which is very good.
Item duplication, it's a classic.
Yep. All right, and so I'll be duplicating some of these. That's all I'm going to make at the moment. And I'll lock my items just so that I don't get rid of them later. And I'll be using these to get this up to high quality. The reason I want to do that is to get it to A rank. Once I have this item at A rank, this neutralizer is very, very important. I will be duplicating it and using all of my gems to make a bunch of copies. And what that lets me do is this item has the super trait ultra purity on it. And that basically increases the gem cost, the amount of gems you get when you turn the item into gems. Basically, it's an infinite feedback loop with ultra purity. It's a little unbalanced. Usually you're not supposed to be able to get infinite gems at the start of the game. But it's just a little bit of an oversight. So we'll be duplicating this and reducing it till I have about 500,000 gems. Very, very quick way of getting gems. And they're used for basically everything we do in this game, crafting-wise. So we want a lot of these.
Yeah, I don't think they expect you to make this good of an item early enough.
Right. All right, and once I get rid of these, that should be enough gems.
And we're still not at the most broken part of the game.
Nope. And now I'll be duplicating the other things I locked. These red neutralizers are what I'm going to be using for skill points. Basically, I will be duplicating. I made about 250 of them. And I'll be using them to rebuild themselves because they go into themselves as a material. So since I have, 250 of them, I have more than enough materials to do this forever. Or, at least as long as I need to, right?
Yeah, so anything that can go into itself basically creates a positive feedback loop, which allows you to just infinitely upgrade eventually.
All right, I have now improved my rebuild even more. And at this point, I'll start using my keyboard to select them, because you have to select them one at a time, and on the controller, it's actually pretty slow. On the keyboard, you can go much faster. And we'll just be doing this for a little bit.
Would this be a good time for donations?
Yeah, sure.
Great. We have $50 from Rob Draven. I'm going to drop this donation in the head of the Dragon Quest V run, since I'll be asleep when it starts. The donation is to name the son of the hero Gades. Shout out to Puexel's Lufia 2 run. Gades, the legendary hero, will save the world! Or destroy it, but who's counting? And I would like to give the chat and everyone watching a reminder, we are still sitting at $470 of the $1,500 incentive to switch to legendary difficulty. Once that is met, we will instantly switch over to legendary difficulty. So you can make that happen at any time. So get those donations in before it's over.
All right, just a couple more of these and we'll be at my SP goal, about 15,000 skill points. That'll let me unlock everything I need on the skill tree for the rest of the game. Which, we're still in the tutorial, so that's pretty impressive. Okay. Most importantly, well, maybe second most importantly, there's a lot of important things here. We're gonna increase our quality limit to 999. That will make all of our gear much more powerful. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to improve my gathering capabilities. So for gathering in this game, you have levels. There's 3 levels. You start at level 1. As you level up your gathering, you get more varieties of materials from gathering nodes, but more importantly, the traits that you get from gathered materials get better. So at gathering level 3, which is on the skill tree, I just unlocked it, you will get endgame traits from gathering materials, even in the tutorial area, which is pretty dang cool. So that was the main reason we did all of that SP grind right there, because now I can go out and I can gather all these flowers real quick. And these will basically come with the best stat traits in the game. So I'll be able to make gear that gives me hundreds of attack.
So we've effectively hit in-game. We're still in the tutorial of the game.
Correct. There's still a few things we're missing, but overall, we will be making the equivalent of endgame gear. Alright, just one more round of these. Hopefully I have everything I need. If I don't, it's easy enough to come back. And let's start the synthesis process. The first thing I will be doing is making an item with all of my traits for bombs, and I'm missing one, so let's go back out.
Traits are pretty
just marathon
important.
Things.
Yeah, traits are pretty important for synthesizing, because you got quality, which alone is really good, but traits just make it even better. And this is true for pretty much almost every game of the Atelier series.
Yep, you can put 3 traits on an item, and the traits I'll be putting on my bomb will increase its damage by 150% or so. Alright. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I am actually very surprised I still don't have this.
That's
usually you get it within 4, yeah.
That's extremely bad luck.
Yep.
So yeah, you know, you're talking about making weapons. What's your main weapon going to be for the run?
We'll get to that when I make it. It's a surprise.
Okay.
I won't be making it quite yet. Alright. There's no way this isn't good enough. Thankfully, material gathering is very quick in this game. In most Atelier games, you have to stop. There we go. Destructive ++. And single blast. So I will need to get these traits leveled up, but we can worry about that later. For now, I'll be making the item with my other traits. These will be stat traits that go on armor. So we're going to go with attack and speed charge ++. This will give me 100 attack and speed. Stats charge ++, which will give me 50 to all stats. And attack and speed charge plus, which will give me 50 attack and speed. I did not get that one in there. Attack is, of course, going to be very important early game. I did not get quite high enough quality. Heck. Alright, there we go. That should work. I need this specifically to be at B rank so that it works for another synth. Sometimes it can be a little finicky. And we're just going to go duplicate those items real quick. One thing that's interesting about traits in the Ryza series is that historically in Atelier, you combine traits with each other to make like better traits. Instead in Ryza, you have to level them up. They have levels, which basically means taking the same trait and combining it with itself multiple times. But that's easy enough if you just make an item that can go into itself. You can see my traits already leveled up to 99. And I'll do the same thing here, but this time with rebuild. So I just duplicated my item, I put it into itself a bunch, and my traits will be max level.
Yeah, I'm not used to seeing quality levels this high.
Alright, now that I have all my traits made, all we need to do is get them onto some gear. For that, I will be... Whoops. I need to duplicate the neutralizer first. Wouldn't want to get rid of it. Alright, so ingot is kind of your generic, just sort of like armor making item. So I'll put all my stat traits on there. And for the bomb traits, they will go on a Zettel that will allow them to transfer easily to the bomb I'm going to make later. And the gear I'll make early, I have some accessories. This is an Uni charm. I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to duplicate first. So Uni is a recurring gag in the series. It's an item, it's a foodstuff that comes from trees. Uni is also known as sea urchin. They do not come from the ocean, so don't get it wrong.
Yeah, they're just fruits from trees in this series that you just throw at things, and they're very spiky. Also, sometimes they explode, I think.
Yeah, sometimes they explode. It's kind of weird. They're normally used in explosives, so a very dangerous world they live in here. Alright, now I'm just going to duplicate my equipment that I made. Duplication is very powerful. And I'm going to go through this menu pretty quick, but you can see everyone's stats going up by hundreds. So, very useful.
Yeah, so who is this? Who are these people?
Alright, and now that we are done making endgame gear in the tutorial, let's go actually finish the tutorial. Just have a few events to go through. And the main reason we wanted to make that gear there is for this quest I'm going to pick up right here. We'll have to fight some enemies that would, if we had like no gear, they would just eat us by default. We would lose quite horribly. These cute little weasels right here. The first battle is no big deal because it's a tutorial. But we have to do another battle and it won't be a tutorial, so that one will be much harder. One thing that's kind of weird about tutorials in this game is when you have a battle with a tutorial, it actually force sets the difficulty of that battle to normal. This is actually very relevant later. I'll explain it more in a little bit. But for now, just know that we will be hunting this poor wildlife that didn't do anything. But we need its materials. Actually, I think the plot of the game is that it did do something. That's why we've been tasked with hunting it, but pretend that that's not the case. Alright, now we can actually continue with the story. So basically what's going on in this game is Ryza has come home Well, no, Ryza is home. Sorry.
Puni.
Ryza's come home after the events of Ryza 2, and suddenly off the coast of her like hometown, some weird islands just like came out of nowhere. And there's monsters all over them, and they're disrupting the wildlife. And basically what we're going to do is we're being tasked with investigating them and figuring out how to get them to go away because they're so dang disruptive to everything in the economy, and they're scary. That's kind of the main draw of this game. The islands are pretty cool. We don't spend much time in them in the speedrun. They're actually a very small part of the game, even though they're like the entire main plot for some reason. But we'll be there shortly after a few more story events. Just have to make these wind shoes.
You know, the entire series itself is just built on the idea of, you know, just lazing around and doing whatever you want instead of going around saving the world and everything.
Yeah. Alright, the game wants me to rest. I'll just go up to Ryza's bed and sleep for a little bit.
Can I jump in here with a super quick donation?
Sure thing.
We have $100 from Takaze, and they just say, barrel.
Barrel. I have not validated the run yet, speaking of barrels, but we won't be getting to that until I make a base. So that'll be a little ways from now. But I promise we will get to it.
Yeah, it's a little in-joke in the entire series. Starting with the very first game is that you can talk to a barrel and you get a voice line with it. It's been in every single game. And a lot of us have joked about doing a series run where we go through every single game and just talk to the first barrel we see. I don't believe anyone has done it yet, and probably for very good reason, because of one specific game.
Alright, so what I'm doing right now, we kind of glazed over it a little bit, but I just made my endgame bomb. I will be editing it throughout the run, but effectively what we're going to be doing is we will be using the explosive uni for this game, and the explosive uni is the most basic bomb you can get. And we're not using it because it's like funny or anything. It's legitimately the best and fastest option for the run. And the reason for that is because there are a lot of ways to like sort of stack flat damage increases on it. And it'll make more sense once I start explaining the combat, but basically every item has a cost to use in combat, and the explosive uni has the lowest cost, which means I can throw more of them. So when I'm stacking very powerful, like flat damage traits on them, the lowest cost actually becomes the most important factor into the efficacy of the item, which makes the explosive uni better than anything else for speedrunning, because I can basically turn it into just as good as like a higher tier item, but at a lower cost. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm running to the Kark Isles, which we talked about earlier. Those are the islands that sort of came up out of nowhere that we have to go investigate. One thing that's really I love about this game are the wind shoes, which I made earlier, which is basically what's giving me the sliding effect. It's super fun, it's super fast. Unfortunately, we don't get to use them that much throughout the run in like the grand scheme of things, but at least until I get through the early game, they'll be the fastest method of transportation as long as we're going downhill. So that's fun.
Yeah.
They do only work downhill though. If I were to use them on flat ground, we would lose many precious seconds.
So in the background, you can see these little round enemies here. They're totally not, they're totally original enemies, you know, absolutely not based off anything else. And they're called Punies. They're pretty much usually the weakest enemies in every game. Or most games, because they don't appear in some games for some reason, and they basically become the mascot of the entire series overall. They're adorable.
It's true. There are some very powerful ones in some of the games, though, that will make you fear for your life.
Yeah, you know, Iris has the Puni God.
Yep.
Who's a dungeon of itself, inside of itself. But, yeah, a lot of the enemies in this series are just adorable creatures.
Yep. So one thing that's kind of important right now, from now until the first boss, which will be in a few minutes, I cannot get into any encounters. If I do, I will have to immediately Alta for the game. It's actually very serious. So the reason for that is we're going to be taking it, I sort of mentioned it earlier, we're going to be taking advantage of an exploit that we call tutorial storage. It's not really like a glitch or anything like that, it's more of an exploit. But you know when I mentioned earlier that tutorials in this game have a weird property where they set the difficulty of an encounter to normal. That works on bosses as well. So right now I have a tutorial saved up. I haven't been in a battle yet for it to tell me how to use bombs in battle. So as long as I don't get an encounter before the first boss, I will get that tutorial on the first boss. So we will be able to fight an easier version of the first boss, which actually isn't the biggest benefit to the tutorial storage. It does make the fight faster, but we could defeat it anyways. So you're saying legendary doesn't matter? Now, that's not... for most fights, you don't have a tutorial you can transfer to them. Most bosses will be done on the difficulty that the game is set to. But for the bosses where we can do tutorial storage, it is very useful. The biggest reason that we want to use tutorial storage on the first boss isn't actually the difficulty. It's because the item tutorial gives us 10 core charges at the start of the battle. Core charges are what you use to actually use your items. Normally you start a battle with 0 and it takes a while to fill them up. So having those core charges from the start means we can throw our bombs at the start, making the fight a lot faster.
How good is the autosave in this game in case you get an encounter?
The autosave is very powerful. It probably won't set me back more than 30 seconds in most cases.
All right.
Yeah, the autosave is very good. Hopefully that doesn't happen, although there are a couple places later in the game where I'm doing another tutorial storage where you can get counters based on RNG. Actually, I believe on Charismatic it's not a problem because the XP is different, but
Ooh, a dolphin.
on Legendary it would be a problem. Yeah, we can ride dolphins. Isn't that great? It's so cute.
Just a random dolphin traveling around.
Since we are in basically the middle of the ocean where all of this random stuff around me appeared, yeah, there's dolphins here. This is the only time we'll be riding a dolphin, of course. We have a much better method of movement later in the game, but
that's for later.
The dolphin's cute while it's lost. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, so this game, we've already seen the really broken synthesis, and I guess soon we're going to see the really broken combat.
Yeah, really broken combat. The first boss is right on this island I just got to. Just have to make sure I avoid all the red puni here. They can actually be surprisingly tricky sometimes. Especially if you get a random quest. This game has a feature called random quests, which are basically just enemies that pop into the world randomly in front of you at certain areas. So if that happens to you, sometimes it can give you an encounter and you basically can't avoid it because they just pop in on top of you. Thankfully that didn't happen there. And right here, I'm going to collect these a bit to get my super traits for the rest of the game. Super traits are a new feature in Ryza 3. They're basically better than normal traits, but you can only have one of them on an item. And the super traits I'm getting here are very powerful. So I'm looking for 3 things specifically. And let's go through, see if I have them. I have Foresight, Stun Break, Reincarnation. Perfect.
Nice.
I got all of them, so we can go on. So what Foresight does is it gives me an extra tactics level, which is a combat thing that's pretty important. I'll explain that later. Reincarnation makes it so if my characters die, the first time they die in battle, they'll come back to life once with full HP. It's as broken as it sounds. It is my entire defense for the run. So we're just skipping through this tutorial here, and you can see that I have 10 CC on the bottom right. And basically, I'm just going to use that to use all my items. I could kill it in 2 hits, but I actually want to use all of the CC that I have here. And the reason for that is that there is a feature later in the game called Core Crystal Modification, and that'll basically let me improve my items as like a stat on my character. It'll let me improve, basically increase Ryza's stats to improve her items. And the more CC you use in battle, the more currency you get to unlock those skills. So I want to use as much CC as possible, which is another reason why getting the 10 CC from the tutorial there really helps. So I can get more core shards for unlocking more of those core crystal skills.
I will say this series has a really, really good quick travel system that they've implemented since the Arlen trilogy, or I guess quadrilogy now. But it's real nice having a really good quick travel system in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Once we transition to 3.
And so now we have a tutorial on keys, the namesake of the game, Atelier Ryza and the Secret Key. So keys are a combat mechanic new to this game. They basically, you use them in combat and they're just like super omega powerful buffs. Your characters can't get stunned while you have a key. Sometimes they can make you invincible or increase your item damage. We will be using a lot of keys throughout this run. I'll explain more about those when they're actually relevant in about maybe like 45 minutes.
Yeah, the developers decided to just add a gacha system to the game.
Yeah, the keys are definitely gacha. Thankfully, we don't need to worry about too much about the random properties on them. Just the inherent properties of a key are good enough for our uses for the combat.
Would you say they're key to the run?
I hate you for that, but yes.
All right, I'm going back into my hole. Sorry.
No, please stay. It wasn't that bad, I promise.
It was that bad, but thank you.
All right, so I'm just going through a few cutscenes here. Now that we have defeated the first boss, we're going back to the island and sort of like telling everyone what's up. And what's going to happen here is this is the moment when you're playing in this game and you realize that this game is massive. Because what happens here is we are going to go to another continent. When I first played this game and I got to this part of the game, I was just like, wait, what is going on? Because the first map is already very, very large. Yeah. And then you go to a second, like, entirely new map.
I'm looking at this first map, and
it's a lot to take in.
I'm looking at this first map, and it's way bigger than I remember it being in, like, Ryza 1.
Yeah. All right, so now we are in Cleria, the second region of the game. And Ryza's basically here to learn crafting from the crafting guilds here for some reason. I don't exactly remember why. It's kind of forced a little bit in the story. She's like, maybe if I do this, it'll teach me how to open that giant door on the islands, and we'll figure out from there how to get rid of them. So
yeah, maybe
that's sort of what we're doing.
Maybe it's like pies in the Arlen series, where I'm making them. It's better than just making them with alchemy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's this whole thing where Ryza like learns how to starts to understand like the soul of an artisan, and that makes her better at alchemy. But more importantly, Cleria is probably the hardest section of the game, and it's where the game gets the most broken. We will be running around for a little bit, but not much longer.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird though that we're learning how to make things other ways when we're already alchemy god at this point.
They found ways to, make excuses for Ryza not being super OP from the other two games. I don't know.
Yeah, she's not the smartest. She's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but she gets around.
Having 3 games with the same character does make balance a little hard from a lore perspective.
Yeah. Which is why they typically don't do it. But Ryza was mega popular. Like, the Ryza series is the first game in the entire series to sell over 1 million copies. And it's quite incredible how much this game has exploded in popularity.
Alright, let's buy some items. I need a few pentonite.
So I guess while you're shopping here, we can probably get a few donations in.
Sure. I'll just be running for a little bit, so.
All right.
All right, great. Thank you. Yeah, great. We have a $25 donation from Anonymous with no comment, but thank you so much for your donation. And I just want to give a quick update on the bids here. And again, a reminder, the legendary, it's the incentive to change the difficulty to legendary to the game you are watching right now is ongoing. So when we hit that, Angela will have to change over to legendary. So y'all can make that happen at any time. So let's get those donations in. But currently we are at $570 out of the $1,500 incentive for that. So get those donations in before the run's over. We also have a incentive for an Ultimate Gear showcase, which will be a showcase of that Ultimate Gear and an explanation after the run. That is only at $5 of the $500 goal. So that is another one that get that in before the end of the run, before we miss it.
All right. So just visited the city, and Ryza's like, I need a place to work. I need a place to do alchemy over here because we're in a new continent. Like, her workshop is, thousands of miles away across the ocean. So we've been told to run to this random plot outside of the city, and we can set up shop there. And Ryza's pretty impressive. She basically builds an entire house out of nowhere.
Alchemy does some
funny.
Alchemy does some magical things in this entire series.
Alchemy is very powerful.
You kind of just put things in a pot and out comes whatever you want. Sometimes even a house, I guess.
You kind of wonder how houses and boats and things like that fit into pots, but they manage.
You make a whole boat in one of the games. It's great.
In like 3 of the games.
Yeah, sometimes you just make a magic carpet that flies around everywhere you want. Magical things.
All right, and right here is the largest hill in the run. I get to slide all the way down it. Wind shoes are great, but we will say bye to them right after this hill because I will basically not be using them again. Even though they are very fast, they are not fast enough compared to what we're going to get in just a second. I guess I should explain now that this is a glitched run. We will be seeing the glitches in a couple minutes. I just have to make an item that enables them, which I'll be able to do right here after I make my atelier out of nothing. The glitches have been patched in the latest version of the game, so I am running on an old version. Mm-hmm. They got patched sometimes last month, so that's unfortunate, but
yeah, so
we can still down patch.
Yeah, we're gonna quickly break the game. We're gonna do the last breaking of this game quick in a moment. But when was this found exactly?
So yeah, it was posted by someone on Reddit like a month after the game came out. They didn't understand how it worked.
As things usually happen with speedrun glitches. Some famous
right. They were just like, we run across rocks and get flung into space. It took us quite a while to actually decipher exactly how the glitch worked, but now that we've done that, it'll be pretty consistent, and it's very fun, so
yeah, so
it's also very difficult.
Yeah, the fun thing about that was that it was discovered shortly after submissions for this marathon closed, so the estimate used to be much higher than what the run actually is now.
Right. Whoops, I need to be in rebuild. Alright, I'm going to make my gathering tools better. Gathering is very important, so making my gathering tools as good as possible makes the run go a lot faster.
So, yeah.
And thanks to rebuild, we can, do that quite easily.
Yeah, I say this game is the most broken Atelier game in every single way, and you're gonna see just how busted it is. You're already seeing how broken it is, but it's gonna get really crazy soon.
Alright, and here I'm just using Link Morph and Rebuild to make my bomb a little bit better.
Oh, these bombs are so silly. How powerful they are.
So the Explosive Uni is, yeah, like I mentioned before, it's the weakest bomb in the game, but I'm adding a 2 damage effects to it, which basically make it do way more damage than it has any business doing. Like I mentioned before, because it only costs 1 CC instead of 2 or more like every other bomb in the game, it becomes the strongest for the speedrun.
Yeah.
Alright, so here's the broken item, the Summoner's Bell. This will let me summon a mount. And the mount is the fastest method of movement, even without the glitch, but this thing is incredibly broken. We're just going to go up to this ledge real quick, get in position. It can be a little difficult sometimes, and I screwed that one up, but we will be flying.
Is this the first
This is probably...
Ooh.
This is probably the...
Hey, go ahead.
This is probably the most difficult place to do the glitch in the game. This is the one I mess up the most.
Is this the first mount in the entire series?
It's the first one.
Is this the first mount in the entire series?
Yes.
Yeah.
Crap.
Yeah, their first attempt at it did not go quite well.
Well, it was also in Ryza 2, and it wasn't broken in Ryza 2.
So
But yeah, whatever they did here made it really bad.
So yeah, this game is the most broken movement you've ever seen in an Atelier game because you could just fly.
All right, this one looks good. Yeah, that's good enough.
So how difficult is it to execute this glitch for people who actually want to try it out?
It's very easy to just execute it, but trying to get to a specific spot with it is very difficult. You do have to know what you're looking for. I will explain it a bit more as the run continues. We'll get the hard ones out of the way first. The first one is definitely the hardest one in the run. We will be using this glitch for movement everywhere. And a couple like minor sequence breaks. We can't do any story sequence breaks because we have to trigger every cutscene in order, but I'm going to go to a place right now that I shouldn't have access to. Or we'll go later. Nice thing about failing that one is you need to gather that item anyways, so it's not a big deal to go back up and try again, since we are right on the fast travel point. It's got to take a little bit to set up the angle. And yeah, this trick can be very, very, very tricky to set up consistently. So that one was pretty good. We got most of the way to where we're going, and we're not actually supposed to have access to this area yet. I'm just coming here because it's faster to pick up the landmark, the fast travel point from where I was. We'll be coming back here later.
So yeah.
And I'll be doing a few other things as well. I'll basically just, right now I'll be going all over the map and unlocking all of the areas and gathering all the items I need, and then we'll continue the story cutscenes once I'm done with that. So this is the first one I'm going to do that's going to take me like directly out of bounds. And I'm basically in the middle section of the map, and at the end of this like long plains, there's just a void. This is another sort of movement tech. If we drop into the void, we'll actually wrap around to the top of the ceiling, and we can just zoom across the map. I landed in a really bad spot somehow, so let's go do that again.
Yeah, and, they didn't intend for you to jump very high, so they put invisible walls everywhere, but they're not. They can't really contain you when you just jump over them.
Right, they're not high enough for this.
It's nice of them to put a wrap around when you hit the bottom of the map, though.
Yeah, it's nice that we can use the same glitch to just get a ton of speed. All right, cool. I'm right above where I need to be. Just need to do some quick out of bounds movement to get back in bounds. Right here. Jump up here. Now I can enter in the cave from over here and just gather a few items that I need.
So yeah, from now on, walls...
Normally it would take about like 4 to 5 minutes to run here, so it's a pretty big time save.
Yeah, so now walls are just suggestions.
Yeah. Alright.
Oh, yeah, so one of the things about the Atelier series overall is that it's generally known for having a time-based system, but they got rid of that starting with Mysterious Trilogy, I believe. So with this game, this trilogy, there's no time limit. You can do whatever you want, however long you want. As we're just going to fly across town because that's normal.
Yep. I should be done with most of the hard jumps in this section, so hopefully the rest of this go okay. This is the last hard one right here. If I fail this one, I actually just walk, but it looks like we're right on. If I don't land, yeah, perfect.
Can I jump in with a super quick donation here?
Sure, go ahead.
We have $5 from Anonymous. Anyone else willing to pitch in $5 for the legendary difficulty incentive? So, hey chat, everybody watching, you've been challenged. Let's see if we can get that met.
Thanks for that.
Yes.
And yeah, legendary is pretty fun, so if you want to see it, we probably don't have too much longer before we're going to close it. Just a few minutes after the second boss, which is coming up, so.
Can you also talk about the other incentives we have for this run as well?
Right, so we have a rolling bid war for the outfit right now. You can still donate towards that, and we can change Ryza's outfit. There's also an ultimate gear showcase after the run. I will, just quickly showcase what like really min-maxed gear looks like in this game.
Oh yeah, when you min-max these games, you get some ridiculous stuff.
Very big brain like sets and lots of damage.
It's a lot of effort to do that.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Is there a good place to start one of these? So generally, starting at the first game of any trilogy would be a generally good spot. My personal favorite recommendation would probably be the Dust trilogy. But Ryza is also a good place to start as well.
Alright, so what I'm doing right now is the last jump of the Cluria section. This one you have to be a little bit careful about the angle, because if you're too far, like slightly too far, angled north, you will run into a cutscene from above and get pulled out of it. So thankfully I avoided that.
So they made cutscene triggers extend infinitely upward. Nice to know.
Yes, most cutscene triggers do. Not all of them, but most do. And here I will be gathering my final super trait. The super trait's possibly the most broken one in the game. I'm going to put it on Ryza's staff. It'll basically increase all of her damage by like 70%, give or take. So let's hope we get that pretty quickly. We just overall get a ton of damage in this game for the speedrun by stacking, as you would expect, a lot of various multipliers that the game gives us access to, and there's a lot of them, more so than usually is in Atelier, in fact.
Oh, we still haven't validated the run yet.
Oh, true. I'll get to that next time I go back to the Atelier. But yeah, cutscene triggers extending infinitely upward is actually very useful in the run. If you can hit them. They're pretty small little circles, but if you fly right over one, it saves quite a few seconds over having to run to it. But because precision on this jumping glitch is so difficult, when that happens, it's actually pretty exciting. Hopefully we get a few of those during the run, but it also might not happen. Alright, so what I'm doing now, just making some story items so I can just auto-synth those. And this right here is a staff for Ryza. This weapon with Rakshasa super trait is going to give her bomb 70% more damage, so we absolutely want that. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rebuild the accessories I made earlier, and I'm going to put my super traits on them. And like I mentioned before, we're going to get reincarnation on there, which is going to make it so that the first time my characters receive fatal damage in a fight, they are revived and healed to full health. And that is as good as it sounds. So it is my entire defensive setup for the run. We will be getting one shot by most things. So this will let us get 2 shot, basically. Which is, you know, better than one shot.
Sometimes you just need just enough HP to not die.
Right, exactly.
Anything more than 1 is excessive.
Yep. Being able to take an entire extra hit is good enough. And I'll just be duplicating these items because everyone needs them.
And don't forget the barrel.
Yeah. Right after this. Now let's equip that stuff and the new bombs. Crap. That one. Alright, and validate the run. Tadu. Tadu.
Tadu.
Tadu. There, we got our Ryza one.
So yeah, validating the run is just a general in joke we do whenever we run marathon runs. Just talk to the barrel and the run's validated.
Yep. Alright, we will be coming up on the second boss shortly. There is a dragon hiding over at that waterfall that I unlocked earlier.
Dragon sounds pretty scary.
Yeah, it is. It does a lot of damage and it has a lot of HP. Those weasels I fought earlier in the tutorial had about 500 HP, and the first boss had about 2,000. This dragon has 15,000, so
How much would it have if we were?
it ramps up pretty quickly.
How much would it have if we were in legendary right now?
It would have 25,000 HP.
Ah, that sounds definitely harder.
Yeah. Thankfully, Ryza's a pretty strong girl. So the general loop for every fight is we start out generating AP, which we use skills on, which gives us CC. You can see that my CC ramped up to 2. Ryza just got stunned, unfortunately, so I need to wait for the stun to wear off to do any more actions. And each of these bombs takes 1 CC to use. Thankfully, we only need 2 of them to dispatch this enemy because we have basically endgame stuff right now.
Yeah, these bombs are quite broken.
Indeed. So, a lot of the crafting I'll be doing from this point forward is mostly items that Ryza needs to make to progress the story. And for most of these items, I take advantage of the auto-synthesis feature, which will put in materials for me. It's basically just a faster way to make these things than putting in the materials myself, because there is a minimum amount of materials I need to use for each item to create it. You don't need to fill out the whole tree, but it does require you to fill out 2 to 4 nodes for every item before you can make it. So just taking advantage of autosynthesis makes that a bit faster. I would not recommend you use autosynthesis playing this game casually. it sounds good, but it really just wastes all of your good materials and doesn't really make good items for you, so...
So fun barrel fact in the Atelier series that generally a barrel is also an explosive.
Indeed. Yeah, there's a couple of games where we can use them as explosives. In fact, there's an anime for Atelier Ryza that is airing right now, and in the first episode, they throw a barrel bomb. It's very fun.
Heck, even some enemies in this series throw barrels at you that explode. You know, everyone knows how powerful barrels are.
Oh crap. Let's see if we can actually get this working.
Yeah.
This one is, there we go.
The directions you can go are quite wild.
Yeah, so one thing that can happen, and happens quite frequently when performing this glitch, is even if you do everything right, you could be off by like, you could be just like on the wrong pixel or subpixel, and the game will randomly send you like 90 degrees to the right or left, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's not even a skill issue if it happens, it's just RNG. So the best you can do is just go back and try and set up again, and hopefully get it correctly the second time. So if you ever see me just fly off in a random direction, that is why. Alright, and we are done with Cleria. Personally, to me, Cleria is the hardest section of the game, as far as the jumps go. The rest of the jumps in the game aren't quite as hard to set up, so we should be seeing a lot more consistency with those from now on. And we already made one house. How about a second one? Ryza just decided that she needs a base in the Kark Isles, so we will be making another one.
You know,
She gets very good at making houses.
It's kind of annoying having to chug a big cauldron everywhere, so might as well leave it somewhere.
Right, somewhere convenient that you can just go back to.
Well, at least in some of the games they explained that you could just straight up teleport.
Alright, so here's our first palace jump. We'll be seeing this place a lot during the run, and I'll be doing this jump a lot. We just come straight to this door and get some cutscenes. Basically, early in the game, Ryza was trying to open the door, now the door's opened, and she's basically like, this door holds all the answers, so we'll be going back there a lot, trying to figure out the secrets of the Kark Isles.
A pet pony.
Pet Puni, unfortunately not useful to us in the run, but it is very cute.
Yeah, space-time in the Atelier series, don't try to make sense of it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
If you have any donations, this would be a great time for them. Just doing some cutscenes.
Sure do, thank you. We have $10 from Brightside64 with no comment. Thank you so much for your donation. And we have $50 from the Eggman85. Been watching since the beginning. Keep it up. And we have a anonymous $100 donation. So thank you so much. And I would just like to give a quick update about the legendary difficulty, if that is still going on.
Sure.
So we are at $585 of the $1,500 needed to meet that incentive. And we are still sitting at just $5 of the $500 needed for the Ultimate Gear Showcase and the explanation after the run. So, time is coming up. It's getting close to when those will be cut off. So get those in before we're done.
We should actually probably cut off the legendary difficulty now. I was planning on doing it after the second boss. It's probably a good point for that.
Well, if everyone watching the stream right now just donates $1, we could meet all the incentives right now.
True.
Very true.
And it all goes to a good cause.
Yep. All right, so we have just entered the third region of the game. Did I mention there's more than 2 regions? This game is massive. We're just going to start off by going out of bounds and basically using another void in the map to fly across the entire continent.
Pretty convenient. There's just a hole in the ground here.
Yep. Oh, did I land slightly out of bounds? Okay, hopefully I can get back in bounds here. Okay.
The sudden forward velocity is so silly.
Just needs to be in bounds to trigger that cutscene. That cutscene will actually trigger just about anywhere in the zone. It takes up like half the entire area. So no matter where you land, it's like mostly fine. And it just puts us right here next to the village in this area where we will set up yet another alchemy house. Ryza is crashing the alchemy house market in this game.
She needs to say her territory. She needs to mark her territory, you know?
Yeah, we make these in about 10 seconds, so...
You know, I need some trees, some neutralizers, some rocks, and hey, look at that house.
Alright, so kind of the lore behind this area of the game is there's some ruins here that we want to explore that are related, probably, to the Carkyles from earlier, but the villagers here don't like outsiders, basically. They don't want us exploring their ruins because that's how they make their money. So we kind of just run around like helping them to convince them to let us in, more or less, and then they don't want to let us in, so we kind of sneak in, but we all figure it out amicably.
They'll thank us later.
See. Yeah, just gotta get a little, there we go. Sometimes with this one you land on that house if you don't go high enough. It's kind of you think your jump's gonna work and then it just stops.
What is that hitbox in the house? Why is that hitbox?
Right. Yeah, this rock can be a little tricky.
Yeah, so how exactly are you performing these jumps?
Yeah, so with any sort of like ledge or elevation increase in the game, basically, geez, this one's not working right now. Basically, if you go on it just right, the spirit beast will sort of like fall into the ground like that. I landed on the house again. All right, we're gonna go do the backup for this one since it's not behaving. It'll sort of do a little like falling animation into the ground, and that means it's in a glitch state, where if you just press backwards on your controller, it will just fly out into the middle, into basically space. So, little falling animation there. That was a bad angle. And yeah, that time just got unlucky. It turned like 45 degrees. That just happens sometimes. There's nothing you can do about it. And there we go.
Yeah, once again, this was patched quite recently, so in order to do this, you need to unpatch your game or just never update.
Mm-hmm. Alright, and these poor enemies will just quickly be dealt with in one hit. They're not a boss, so they don't deserve more than that.
It's a good thing you have infinite bombs.
Yeah. Now I'll unlock a core crystal modification, which I was talking about earlier. I have enough core crystals from the rest of the game to unlock some skills, and what this will let me do is it will increase CC at the start. Oh, I don't have enough. Oh, right, I'm on Charismatic. Anyways, right, I forgot about the difference between Charismatic and Legendary. I need to wait a bit. That's one of the minorly annoying differences, is that Legendary actually gives you more core crystals Forgot that on Charismatic I get those later. But basically they'll let me start battles with CC so I can throw bombs right away. Which is very nice instead of having to build up CC. It's very convenient to be able to throw it immediately. Alright, now we just finish up the requests from the villagers, and we can go explore the ruins. So one thing that's kind of interesting about the Spirit Beast glitch is it's actually tied to frame rate. That one went really well. You know, straight where we're going. Sort of. So the way it works is once you get your setup going, the Spirit Beast getting the little falling animation in the ground, you can press down on the controller, on the joystick. Oh gosh. That was pretty unlucky. The enemy is right on top of me after the cutscene. That happens sometimes.
Oh no.
Thankfully we don't have a tutorial stored here, so it's not a big deal. You can just run. Once you press down on the joystick, you have like half a second to let go. And the later you let go, the more acceleration you get, the more speed and the more height. So you need to be very good at timing it, because if you hold it down too long, what's going to happen is you're going to lose all of your speed. So it's like a very small window, and you want to, for a lot of these jumps, you do need to hold it down as long as possible to get the most acceleration out of it to get across like really long distances, right? And your acceleration is actually tied to how many frames that you're accelerating for. So a higher frame rate in the game does help quite significantly with pulling off some of these jumps. But if you go too high, you'll end up getting such a wild, like super high amount of speed, right? That you can't even control it. You'll just end up overshooting way past where you need to go. So there is a sweet spot. I play it around 90 to 100 FPS, and that's good enough for me. Mostly because my computer can't get up to 144, but that's fine.
Yeah, for some reason, Gus refuses to put a frame limiter on their games.
There actually is a frame limiter in Ryza 3.
Yeah.
They finally are adding frame limiters now, so. But yeah, for a long time, the frame rate of the games was just tied to your monitor's refresh rate. Alright, for the next cutscene it needs to be nighttime, so we're just gonna sleep.
Some cute Ryza sleeping.
Yeah. It is stuck for some reason. There we go.
Speaking of cute, can I just quickly say that the mount is adorable? And I just wanted to say that.
The Spirit Beast is great. The Spirit Beast became our friend, you know, in the second game, and Ryza takes very good care of her pets, so they are still with us in this game, making the run very enjoyable and much more fluffy and adorable. Alright, just need to fly over here real quick. I'll just walk the rest of the way because that one sent me in a bad angle, but that's fine.
Yeah, it turned around to the left
We're
side.
more or less. Yeah. It didn't send me so far off track that I couldn't use it though, so that's nice. All right, and here we are coming up on the third boss. I do need to make sure to make a key here. I'm on Charismatic, so I can't use as many items because it does need to be alive. That is one problem with playing on Charismatic difficulty over Legendary, is it's actually possible to do too much damage.
That's a problem, all right. Not a common problem.
And this is where we'll start using keys. One of the main benefits of keys is that they make your turn timer shorter, which is very nice, so you can throw items faster and use skills faster. Alright, so it's still alive. We'll make a new key. Keys have different rarity tiers. One thing that's nice about this boss, or these bosses in general, is they always give you the max rarity of key, which means they're also the best keys you can get. They have more uses, they have better effects, they last longer. So we'll be using that key for the rest of the run. Don't know what came on it. Hopefully something good that makes the run faster. But if not, we can still finish, so it's not a big deal, even if the key is kind of bad.
Hope you rolled the gacha, right?
And normally I don't even look at what's on the keys. If they're good, they just make fights faster. But it takes time to look at them.
Is it even worth trying to make another key if it's not good enough? If it's not that good?
No, it takes time because you can only make good keys against bosses, more or less. So you don't really have the extra time on boss fights to make keys all the time, right? It's not worth grinding out a better one. We do make 2 keys, though. So if one is better than the other, we do use the better one for the final dungeon.
Ryza refuses to walk across town, so she just flies across town.
I mean, wouldn't you? It's fast, it's fun. We're all speedrunners here, right? Alright, and coming up here is the 4th and final area of the game. It's not the final dungeon, it's the final continent. We still have quite a bit of the game left. We'll be going back and forth between all the continents, but this game is truly like very big. It's a step up from other Atelier games for sure. Just like how much area and content there is in it. And this town is home to the most infuriating jump in the game. We have to do it 4 times. And we're basically, if we don't get the jump, we have to climb a bunch of ladders to get up here, this tent, to do cutscenes. This tent is the one area in the game where cutscenes do not extend vertically because they want you to run up to the top of the tent. So we do have to jump up here. It's pretty precise. It can be difficult to get the right angle and height consistently. Thankfully, usually even if we don't make it, we get to the ladder right below it. So it still saves quite a bit of time. It takes about 40 seconds to walk up there normally. And our jump will cut that down to 10 or less usually. So hopefully we get those. We have to go up there quite a few times. And we'll be doing more of those throughout the rest of the run. That jump has a pretty interesting history. It was probably the one jump in the game that was sort of like theory crafted the most. It took me a very long time to find a consistent setup for it because there isn't much bumpy terrain in this town. There aren't very many spots where you can actually perform the glitch because it's just a bunch of trees. So it took a very long time to find a setup I was happy with for that jump compared to everything else where there's usually rocks and stuff all over, rocks and like ledges and whatever all over the place. That town is very flat in comparison. And because of how much we have to use that jump, it was like very important to me that I found a good setup.
Really convenient the jumps give you both height and distance.
Indeed. Alright, so I'll just be grabbing this chest here. This will give me an ancient bug. If I'm about... So this item's really hard to replace. If I'm about to die in this boss right here, I will have to... I will have to Alt F4 and restart the game. Sometimes, if you get unlucky with the characters that this boss targets, you can lose this fight, so... But hopefully that's not a problem. It looks like we are probably fine since Ryza is still alive. As long as I can get my CC up with Ryza still alive, usually this fight goes okay, so... Oh, the key failed. That's unfortunate.
Oh.
Oh no, are we in a bug state? Uh-oh. So Ryza's at 0 HP right now, because of some weird, like, menu glitch with reincarnation.
Oh no.
That's really unfortunate. That's okay, we are still alive. I just need to try and make a key again, we should be fine. Cool, we got the key. The bug just loses some time. We weren't actually in danger of dying there. We just can't do any actions until we take damage again.
You know, sometimes having less than one life, 1 HP is perfectly fine.
Yeah. The 0 HP bug can show up every once in a while. The place where it usually happens and is the most scary is against the final boss, actually. So if it happens there, we might actually lose the final boss fight, which would be quite unfortunate. Thankfully, for that one, you don't have to close the game. You can just go back. You won't lose anything important. But we'll see when we get there. I'm surprised we saw that bug show up so early. Actually, that doesn't happen very often. It is kind of a funny thing to show off. It's funny to see your characters just sitting at 0 HP but still alive, you know?
Just a zombie state.
Yep. All right. Hopefully I can get this one to work. This is one of the less consistent jumps in the game because it does that all the time. I swear this one's like a 50% chance of just sending you off at a random angle. There we go. That should be right on target.
Yeah, Ryza likes to jump into these portals. No fear.
It's fine. We've been in that one before. We can come out the other side. It's okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
It's not behaving. There we go. Oh, no. All right. And now we are done with the third and fourth areas for now. We're going to go back to studying the Kark Isles now that we have a bit more info. And we also have our final party member now, Kala Ideas. She is my favorite. We will actually be using her even.
She seems to be a lot of people's favorites.
Yeah, she's really funny. All right, palace jump number 2. Perfect, right over the cutscene.
Oh, a second pet pony. She likes
Second one, they keep multiplying.
she likes keeping some weird pets around.
Alright, just gonna go up here to set up a jump because it's too hard to control the spirit beast to jump up here. I've never had that happen before. What the heck?
Oh, that's never happened before. Count it.
That's never happened before. Check off your bingo sheet. Then that just skips a wall. Yeah, so Ryza, this game is sort of set around Ryza's home, unlike the second one. So we go back and forth between Kuken Island a lot. This is just sort of our home base. Gotta keep tabs on everyone. Ryza's very big on keeping her family updated. So. Which is kind of, it's character growth. Ryza's relationship with her parents is one of the interesting things about the series, because in the first game, she starts off as kind of a, bratty, rebellious teenager. And throughout the course of the games, she gets a lot closer with them as she sort of like grows into a respectable alchemist and not as much of a, rebellious teenager anymore. Basically, she gets a job and grows up.
Better than being a farmer, I guess.
True. Alright, Palace Jump number 3. They've been going well so far. Perfect. This jump's being really nice to me today. Alright, so this is the only other part of the game where we spend a significant amount of time in the Kark Isles. And we're basically just going to be flying all over them to trigger a few cutscenes here and there.
Like how you just rub against the wall and then as soon as there's nothing in your way, you just go back to your original trajectory.
Yep. Yeah, walls are no problem usually. You just go around them, you don't really get stuck on them. Alright, so this is one of the parts of the game where I can get an unlucky battle after the cutscene. It looks like the enemies are far enough away, so we're fine. Normally on Legendary I would have a tutorial stored right here, but on Charismatic we actually have to change the route a little bit. The tutorial will come later, because it's based on hitting level 40. Oh. There we go. That might be right above the cutscene as well if we make it far enough. No, not quite. And basically we're just going around to these ancient stone tablets around the Kark Isles, and Ryza's somehow getting information out of them. I don't know, I can't read them, I couldn't tell you what's on them, so. One thing that's nice about this jump right here is the area we're going to would have required normally making an item called the airdrop, which lets you dive and breathe underwater. And normally you have to do that to get over here. Thankfully, due to this glitch, we don't have to make that item, which saves quite a bit of time, and also swimming is slow, so nice.
Yeah,
directly above the cutscene.
Swimming may be slow, but you get to ride a dolphin at least.
True, we would get to ride more dolphins. That is the one upside. Alright. So normally I would go to Nemed first. We have to go to Cleria for XP, I believe. Let me double check my level to make sure I'm not messing this up. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Okay, do that. And we're going to get Kala in the party now. She is very important. Oh crap, we have to do it later, right? She's very important because she has a buff that increases my damage by another 30%, so we'll be taking advantage of that buff from her to get even more damage if our damage wasn't already obscene enough, you know? Alright, so coming up here, this jump is one of the most frustrating in the game because it's not actually that difficult, but you get here at a time of day where you can barely see the ledge you're trying to jump off of, which makes it very difficult to set up, and I just fell in the water.
Landed straight on that ledge, though. Oh no. Thankfully, you can just quick travel back.
Yeah. Talking and running around at the same time is quite difficult. Okay. So yeah, because of the shadow from this tree, this jump can be hard to set up. All right, we got it second try, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, that was more right.
So from now on, we're going to start every battle with a key. And like I said before, one of the things the keys do is they make our turns like basically instant. Another thing the keys do is they make it so that you can just do normal attacks infinitely while the key is active, which means you can build up a lot of AP to get your CC up. Normally you would only be able to do a normal attack 3 times. Each attack gives you AP, and you need to wait to get like 10 to 15 AP to use skills to get CC. But with the key, you can keep doing normal attacks until you have enough AP. They never stop, so that makes battles go a lot quicker.
Guess it's a shame. Ryza is pretty slow reader for books. Most other games, you're done reading well before you actually start reading the book.
Yeah. If you have any donations, feel free to go ahead and read those right now. We're just doing some cutscenes and stuff.
Sure thing, thank you. We have a $25 donation from Count Zero Or with no comment. Thank you so much for your donation. And I just want to give an update. We are now at $30 of the $500 Ultimate Gear Showcase and Explanation After the Run incentive. So we're getting close to the end. So if you want to see that, and I know you want to see that, definitely get those donations in so we can see that showing all that awesome Ultimate Gear.
Yeah, that's going to show off what true min-maxing looks like in this game.
Yeah. If you think we're doing a lot of damage now, the Ultimate Gear blows this out of the water, for sure.
Are you saying that if that incentive is met, we can see more broken things? Come on.
Indeed.
And I would just like to talk to y'all about RPG Limit Break 2023. It's coming to you from Salt Lake City, Utah. We are raising money for NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, which was formed in 1979 as a grassroots advocacy organization by a group of parents whose children suffered with serious mental illnesses. And NAMI has maintained that focus to this day.
Yeah, that's a great cause to be supporting. I'm glad to be participating in this marathon, honestly.
It's great to be...
Mental illness is for sure a huge issue, not just in America, but everywhere in the world right now, especially with the pandemic for the past few years.
Yeah, it's great to be a part of this marathon every single year. Probably my favorite time of the year.
Yeah, and I can personally say I was able to do counseling and therapy during this near the start of the pandemic, and it has done wonders for me. So I really love helping to raise money for this cause.
Yeah.
And we also just got a donation in, a $100 donation from Jetboy with no comment. Thank you so much for your donation.
If you want to see something funny, look at the box art for this game and tell me, is Ryza really forward in the foreground, or is she just really big compared to everyone else?
Yeah, the perspective issue is kind of funny, with Ryza being a giant. Do we have a donation from Mary, probably?
I will check on that. Let me see here.
Anyways, so you're just currently doing cutscenes to help get towards the end of the game.
Yeah, the end's a little bit boring. It's a lot of the same jumps, but now we're just sort of revisiting everywhere, doing a little bit of cleanup. And this upcoming boss right here, we have another boss, is going to be our second abuse of the tutorial storage exploit. So this one as well is going to go quite a bit quicker than the other bosses because of that. Alright, here we go. This cutscene's always kind of funny because for some reason you can't skip it until about here. Don't know why you have to watch them walk, but Gust has decided it should be so.
They're not walking, they're waiting.
So one thing we're going to do in this tutorial is we're actually just going to complete the tutorial before it tells us what to do. It wanted us to use that skill, and we're just going to do it right away. And that's going to give us a bunch of CC to use our bombs right off the bat. And normally this boss would have probably about 90,000 HP, but because we're on normal, it only has 30,000 due to the tutorial exploit. That is, the boss gets set to normal difficulty, so it loses 2/3 of its health. Otherwise, it would actually be fairly difficult as a boss.
Very convenient.
Yeah. Heck, I'll just walk. The walk of shame. Sometimes it happens. It's not really a very far distance, but usually that one's quick enough to set up that you still save time no matter what.
It's actually amazing how much they advertise this game in Japan. And when I went to Japan back in March, right before the game came out, the the guide map to Akihabara, on the very first cover of it was Ryza. It's like they're handing out to everyone visiting the town. So it's just real great that the series finally jumped to the mainstream.
Oh, and if it's all right for me to jump in, I do have that donation from Mary. Or Marie.
Perfect. Thank you.
So it's the donation is from Mirilot Cosplay Minus for $69, and it says, I like the Ryza 2 outfit a lot and want to make other people see the clipboard attached to the sleeve hanging off her back. And Taru.
Does that mean we've hit the bid war for Ryza 2, or do you have an update on
Which
that?
outfit's ahead?
Because I can change it right now.
The Sophie outfit, the Sophie 2 outfit, from what I see, is still in the lead with $60.
All right.
All right. Oh, did she forget to put it towards the Ryza 2 outfit? I think she mentioned that. All right, we'll switch to the Ryza 2 outfit then, because she definitely meant to put it towards the bid war. This is, personally, this one's my favorite outfit as well. And if you could just put her donation onto that, that would be much appreciated.
At least it's not as silly as the Ryza 3 outfit with the giant safety pin just hanging out of her cape.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny. The Ryza 2 outfit, I didn't like it when it was first revealed, but it grew on me like quite a bit over time. And now it's definitely my favorite of her 3 outfits. We just barely missed that. That is unfortunate. I will use my backup that is over here. This jump is a bit easier to get up to the tent. It's just, oh no.
I remember when you used to just jump from the base of the tree and just go straight up. Oh.
I stopped that one a little too soon. That is fine.
At least it still saves time over climbing a bunch of ladders.
I think at this point we're not saving time on it. That's fine. We'll get it eventually. This is definitely one of the harder tricks in the run because you have to do it so much. It's quite difficult to do consistently. Okay, ladders of shame.
Aha. Almost.
Yeah. You know you're down bad when you have to climb these ladders in this category. It's not good. That's okay. The run must go on. We'll get redemption next time I have to come here. Thankfully, in my PB, I do not have to climb ladders at all. Alright, now we're gonna fly through the zone. Hopefully. That is the intent anyways.
So about how much of the run is left?
Probably about 15 minutes, I think. Or is it 20? I don't remember. We're pretty close to the end. There's a few bosses left, but we're basically real close to the final dungeon.
And just a quick reminder, we have not met the Ultimate Gear Showcase incentive yet, so if you want to see that, get that in as soon as possible.
Alright, just gotta get on this little rock. This one saves a lot of time, but it can take a little bit. We don't have a great setup for it, but at least once you actually get it, it almost always sends you where you want to go. There's like basically 2 different types of jumps in this game. There's ones that are, well, there's three, right? There's some that are just easy all around. There's some that are easy to set up, but hard to do precisely. And there are some that are hard to set up, but they will send you where you want to go every time. And then I guess there's just hard ones, but...
Or fighting this again.
Yeah, it's not even a recolor, it's just the same enemy. Alright, so this fight is the first fight where we're using Kala, and it's also the first fight where we're using our true endgame strat, which is a pretty interesting loop and abuse of the game system. Basically, what we're using right now with our order skills, they have long animations, and they give us these diamonds at the bottom of the screen, and we can use them to use the Singularity skill on Ryza, which, what that's going to do is Singularity is going to give us 6 CC all at once. And because we have that much CC, we can just go through and bomb the boss to heck. It's the safest way to get CC from these endgame bosses that will basically just be one-shotting us if we let them. Because all of these cut-in animations, the enemy can't act during them. So even though we get a lot of like cut-in animations, they're doing things for us and the enemy can't attack us. And that's basically why we don't need defenses.
Yeah, it's quite silly. You just interrupt the enemy in the middle of their attack animation with your own.
Yeah. All right, that jump was perfect.
Best jump we had so far.
Yep. All right, and this time we'll be using the same rock, except this one's for a different jump, so I'm going to blow hopefully straight past Kala's tent here. If I can just get that set up real quick. Perfect. Alright, there's one of those RNG turns. Hopefully this one will go better. Perfect. That jump to the tent is a little bit easier to do than the normal one, so it's nice when we can do it from this side of the map instead. It's a little bit easier to set up. Heck. Alright, so until the final dungeon, the rest of the game is just hitting cutscenes and making a few items. Just gotta do a lot of story stuff. We already have all of our gear set up, so it is not, there's not anything like super intensive that we have to do.
So if you were interested in running this game, where would the best place to go be?
So we do have a Discord for Atelier Speedrunning, and I'm always in there helping out prospective new members of our community. If you're interested in running this game with the glitches, unfortunately, it's a little inaccessible if you're not on PC. You do need a physical copy of the game since it's been patched. Or on Steam, it's easy enough to down patch, so.
And you can find our Discord on pretty much any of the speedrun.com pages for any of the game in the series.
Right. We're always there. We're always excited to see new people that love Atelier just as much as we do. And Ryza 3 is honestly a super fun game to speedrun. And it's very rewarding to, when you get a run that just has really, really solid movement and fast menuing. It's like super menuing heavy at the start, and then there's this just, you know, really hard, rewarding movement tech. It's very fun.
So yeah, while we're here...
And yeah, if you haven't... Oh, sorry, continue.
While we're here, I'd really like to thank the RPG Limit Break Games community for finally letting in an Atelier game. Because I've been trying for years to get one of these in, and it's real nice to finally have Gus representation in this marathon.
It's true. I'm kind of surprised. Yeah, this is the first Atelier game at RPG Limit Break, not on the channel, but at the marathon. Even though the series has, you know, like 30 games, 24 mainline, bunch of spin-offs. They're really cute and fun games. I personally love these games. I really enjoy them. They have great mechanics. The crafting is really deep and engaging. You can just spend hours at the cauldron.
And the characters.
If you really like crafting in games, if you like cute characters, chill vibes, Atelier's absolutely fantastic series.
Yeah, the characters are always fun to interact with because there's a lot of interaction between characters in this series.
Also, this is probably, I believe this is the most recent game in the marathon. It came out at the end of March this year.
Yeah, literally right before submissions opened.
Yeah. I think we've gotten the route pretty optimized since then, but could always go a bit further with some more time, probably.
So I have a real quick question. I noticed some people in chat asking where the best place to start with a series casually would be. Do y'all have any opinions as to where to start if somebody just wants to get into Atelier?
So yeah, this is of course a really common question, right? With a series as big as this one,
With
so many games
series inside of it.
Yeah. What I always tell people is I have two opinions about this. My opinions are either go with the game that you think has the best art, that you think looks the cutest, or go with the most recent game. You can never go wrong with just picking the most recent one, even if it's in the middle of like a sub-series.
Yeah, that's always a
The
fair
most
point.
recent game is almost always like a safe bet. But also if like one game is just like really calling out to you with its art style, like Aisha is really pretty, Ryza obviously has her Ryza appeal. Sophie, lots of people love Sophie. Like go with your heart and choose that game. Don't worry about anything else.
Rona is really funny. Toturi is really cute.
Yeah, just like whichever one catches your eye is, in my opinion, the best place to start.
And it's not just cute girls in this game too. In this series too, we've got a couple of male protagonists. Like the Irish trilogy, PXMacaiah games have a male protagonist. Eschatology has a male protagonist. If you want to play as Logi. I guess we were still on the topic. While this is the first Atelier game we've had at the main marathon, we've also had our own marathon we've held on the channel twice now, where we've run multiple other games from Gust as well. So if you want to check out any other runs, just check out those marathons on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, we have those VODs on YouTube. Those marathons are also really fun. If you're into Atelier speedruns, that would be a great place to look for runs. We've run that marathon twice. It was a lot of fun. We even it was even earlier this year in May. I think it was May.
I think so. I don't
April?
remember.
No, it was the end of April.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Sorry, ever since 2020, time has been an illusion. All right, so we have just entered the final dungeon. We are in the last stretch of the run. The final dungeon is very broken. There's a few like switch puzzles and stuff you have to do, and rest assured, we skip all of them. Normally, you would also need a little rope swing item to get through here. We don't need that because we're just gonna go out of bounds and we're gonna jump over here and skip straight to the third area of the dungeon.
They
We're just gonna fly there.
They decided to put a floor in places.
Yeah, there's the floor here, so we can just run along it, and we can hit the cutscene trigger here to get back in bounds. Very convenient. And just run straight over to the boss here. So we've already gone through over half the dungeon just with that one jump. And here's the first boss of the final dungeon. It is not the final boss quite yet. We're going to do our little loop of order skills to get started. So using an item triggers those. Then I want to use a key. So, and then because of the way we have it set up, they trigger again immediately. And we get to use Ryza's Singularity skill. And also Kala's Shadow Sphere here that she just used gives us a 30% damage buff. And now we have 7 CC, so we can just use all these items and make quick work of the boss, hopefully. Might need to get no, we're good. Okay. Sometimes you need to get a little bit more CC, but that went fine. Come straight into that cutscene. And so normally in this room, we would need to hit a bunch of switches, ride a lot of elevators, do a whole bunch of like weird stuff that no one really wants to do. But thankfully, none of that is actually required. As long as we go out of bounds, we can just go to the next area. But what's actually funny is normally we wouldn't be able to do this because of the invisible floor. But for whatever reason, the invisible floor ends right where the entrance to the next area is, and we just wrap around from the ceiling. We fall to the ground, wrap around, and get put right in front of the gate to the next area. If the invisible floor extended past the gate, we actually wouldn't be able to get there like that, and it would be very difficult to get through that zone without using the switches.
I'm sure there'd be a way. There's always a way.
There's definitely a way. It's much harder. I could do it. I usually skip it in runs because it's very easy to fail. So it is faster. It saves like 15 seconds, but it's much more difficult compared to the safe strat. So. And this is a recolor of the second boss from earlier. You might recognize it if you've been here for the entire run, or maybe not, because these bosses evaporate so fast that you don't really get time to internalize them, do you? Although this is actually, this is not the final boss. It is probably the most difficult one though, because it has the most HP. For our glass cannon set, that can be a problem. Sometimes. But usually not. Alright, and there's the game telling me that after this point, like, be careful, you can't go back. Alright. So this boss will one-shot us no matter what, with basically all of its abilities. And if we're unlucky, we saw it earlier, but I will end up with the 0 HP zombie bug. Yes. Okay. Ryza is stunned. Yeah, that's alright. That's unfortunate.
At least she's back.
That's quite unfortunate. Sometimes this boss just kills you.
Yeah. Unlucky.
Yep.
I will say, one thing that is consistent throughout the entire series is the excellent music. Absolutely.
For sure.
Excellent music throughout the entire series. And they've gone through a few composers, too.
Thankfully, it is really easy to get back to the final boss, so it does suck when you die to that bug in like a PB pace run, but it doesn't lose too much time. I mean, it loses like a minute, but that's fine. It just happens. Final bosses in JRPGs are honestly pretty notorious for being like sorry, I'm just in disbelief that I basically just died again.
Yeah, quite a lot.
Are pretty notorious for being RNG fests where you just have to get lucky to get through them. If we're lucky, we can still survive here. Oh, Kala has perished. No, wait. She's fine. She's bugged. I managed to trigger the 0 HP bug on her, so she's still alive. We're fine.
1 HP sometimes all that matters.
If it's on her, it's fine.
1 HP is all that matters.
Okay,
sometimes
we're good.
0 is good enough.
Yeah. Okay. That one was actually really close because Ryza got stunned again. And we're just gonna sit here for a little bit. Hopefully we can survive this. The boss is gonna use its big supercharge attack on us.
One of the few attacks.
Oh no!
One of the few attacks.
Oh no,
you
we are
interrupt.
dead.
Oh,
That's unfortunate.
unfortunate.
No, this time it's a scripted death.
Oh.
So now we're in phase 2. Full healed, and we should be fine. Now the boss just spams its one-shot charge attack every time, but thankfully we can tank one hit thanks to reincarnation, so...
So when is time coming up?
Oh, right. Time is coming up as soon as I skip the cutscene after defeating this. So it's pretty soon. As long as I don't die here. There was a small error. My combo didn't go off completely, so hopefully we can get that working. But I might have to redo this phase. We'll see. Okay, I think we'll be okay as long as it doesn't get another charge attack off. This will be fine, yes. So yeah, time is coming up. After it dies, there will be a cutscene. As soon as I skip the cutscene, it will be time.
All right, want to do any shoutouts?
Any shoutouts? Shoutouts, honestly, to my... Oh, sorry. Okay, time. Shoutouts, honestly, to the restream commentators, Osakebon for the Japanese restream, and Dele for the French restream. I'm sure they did a great job. They've been... Osakebon is a Japanese Ryza runner. He does a lot for the series and helps out, and Zele is actually just got into the game to pick up commentary on the French restream and got a pretty good PB recently, so I'm sure they both did a very good job on commentary. And also shout out to just a lot of the members of my community and other Ryza runners like Nuji and then on Nexus, and Cillian. They all helped me a lot in figuring out how the jump glitch works and sort of like solving that little glitch. So without them, this run would be nowhere near as optimized as it is.
I guess a big shout out would be to Griot, who is a Japanese runner of the Atelier series, for being a big bridge between us and the Japanese community, because they decided to learn English for us, you know?
Yeah. Griot runs a lot of games, and we talk to him a lot.
And once again, shout out.
That was...
Once again, shout outs
That
to
was
the
Atelier Ryza 3.
yeah. Once again, shout outs to the marathon for letting us in, and thank you all.
Yep. It was honestly, I had a great time being here. Thank you for having me. The Atelier series needs way more love. Definitely give these games a shot if it looked interesting to you. And Ryza's super cute, so thank you all. Why is time called here when the main story's not over? Because the rest of it is just cutscenes. The rest of it is just cutscenes. So we end time where it's most interesting to do so. The game is over. There's no reason to do the victory lap. So, but yeah.
thank you so much for that run of Atelier Ryza 3. It was amazing. A lot of flinging stuff going on there, so that was awesome. And we are about to go to an ad break, and then I will pass you off to our next host, Zathian. So thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed being a host, and we will go to that ad break, but don't go away. We will be right back.
Good evening, good night, good morning, good day to anybody who's still watching RPG Limit Break this late at night from Salt Lake City, Utah. My name is Zathian. I'm taking over from the admirable French Toast. I'm going to be hosting the first half of our next run, which is Dragon Quest V Hand of the Heavenly Bride Any Percent Co-op, run by High Spirits and Purple Mario 920. This is going to be an exciting run, let me tell you, and we've got a ton of bids ready. There's so many naming incentives, and most importantly of all, you can decide the future wife of our hero from Dragon Quest V. You can choose Nera, Deborah, or Bianca. I have it on good authority that High Spirits' favorite is Deborah. So if you want to push that one, it's in second place right now. It's a mere $1.50 behind. So if you want to make that happen, you have the opportunity. Now, there are a whole slew of other bid wars that are going on right now for Dragon Quest V. You get to name the daughter, which currently has a $55 lead, again for Deborah, which is, once again, High Spirit's favorite. We have the opportunity to name the hero. Currently, John Cena has got a healthy lead, but we're not going to be able to see him. So if you want to make a different name happen so that we can actually watch the run, donate for that. The Saber Cat is an easy snipe. $1 is going toward pajamas, and anything else you want to have show up there, that's all yours. Of course, naming the sun is also possible. We've got Gady, Zagama, and Zillion in the running, but once more, your preferred name could go there. If you want to, you can also name the bag. Only one snacks bag is in the running with $20. If you want to push that to your own name, you have that opportunity. We're still just finishing up setup on that run, but I wanted to remind you that RPG Limit Break 2023 is supporting NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. NAMI offers a helpline, and the NAMI helpline is a free, US-based, nationwide peer support service providing information, resource referrals, and support to people living with a mental health condition, their family members and caregivers, mental health providers, and the public. The NAMI helpline is available Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time via call, text, and live web chat. To reach the NAMI helpline, you can call 1-800-950-6264 or visit nami.org/help. That's NAMI.org/help to access all NAMI helpline resources and contact information. Ooh, looks like we found the donation that pushed Deborah on top, Nera on top, from Fritskin for $106.50. They send in saying, for the true waifu of DQ5, Nera, Deborah only wants to marry Hiro for the fame, and Byakuya doesn't spend enough time with Hiro to build a proper relationship. Now, is there anything terribly wrong with just marrying the hero for the fame? Because I think Deborah, again, needs to be the top choice. You know, the last few years have been a really stressful time in the world and have understandably had a strain on many people's mental health. In the United States alone, 21% of adults reported suffering some kind of mental illness. That is 52.9 million people. Please remember to reach out for help if you need it. You are not alone.